Hi friends, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology. I wanted to share why 2020 is such a weird, crazy time, because astrologers have known that 2020 was going to be a weird, crazy year. I remember when I attended UAC, United Astrology Conference in Chicago, I believe that was 2018, May 2018 or perhaps 2017, and that was a huge buzz amongst astrologers, as people were talking about it then, kind of, oh my gosh, 2020 is upcoming, and there was dedicated workshops to it. So it's been bubbling for a while. And for me personally, there is tremendous benefit in astrology in providing some sort of logic in times of chaos, like right now, where we can be like, okay, this is a really bad transit, but we know that, you know, these other good transits are on the horizon, or at least we have something to blame for it. So in my personal experience, I find solace looking to the transits and to astrology to explain what happens. So if you are also like that, then I'd recommend this video just to give you some sort of sense of like why this is occurring and what's on the other side of it. So Saturn and Pluto is why astrologers were bubbling about this year, and as well as the country of the United States of America having their Pluto return, which is when Pluto returns to its natal degree of when the United States of America was founded. So Saturn is a planet of structures, of disciplines, of building things from the ground up. It rules our government, it rules authority figures. Pluto is a planet of transformation, power, and renovation. When they get together, there is lasting, reverberating change to our structures, Saturn, how we conduct our world. History is not necessarily my strongest point in life, but if you look at kind of the broad span of when Saturn and Pluto conjunct, which means they arrive at the same degree or oppose one another, you'll notice a reverberating theme of lasting change to the structures. I'll name a couple, but as I mentioned, I'm not a super history buff, so there are some astrologers that are so gifted with that. So find them. But a couple of explanations I'll give is 1917, Saturn conjunct Pluto, World War I was when that was happening. Saturn conjunct Pluto in more recent times, Saturn conjunct Pluto in Libra in 1982. A couple of astrologers have pointed out, I didn't even personally make this connection, but this was at the height of the AIDS epidemic and when it was actually printed on newspaper, like the AIDS epidemic, like it was officially called that. And if you look to the sign of Libra, Libra rules partnering. It definitely changed the structures of how we partner with one another, like how we, you know, feel safe with one another, how we, you know, use protection. My initial thought when I was looking back at all the times, well, when Saturn and Pluto got together in 1982, it was actually the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression. And then with the Libra connection, with this partnering, I was looking at divorce rates, and this was actually a time that they began to spike, and it was kind of the destruction of the nuclear family unit. You know, it used to be people got together and they stayed together, and then after kind of the 80s, it kind of shifted into this space of, you know, it's up to you whether you stay together or not. There's lasting change in that realm. Then if we take it to 2001, Saturn opposite Pluto, Saturn in Gemini and Pluto in Sagittarius. It happened in August 2001. Just a month later, we experienced 9/11, which was a horrific event, and it permanently shifted the way that we travel. Pluto in Sagittarius, Sagittarius rules travel. I mean, it used to be you could walk right up to people's gates and like say goodbye, you know, if you were dropping them up to a flight, or vice versa, if you're picking them up, you could go right up. The safety protocol wasn't in place because there wasn't anything like that. But then after that, it permanently shifted. And what's kind of creepy is that Pluto was in Sagittarius and then Saturn was in Gemini, and the twin towers were targeted, and Gemini is the archetype of the twins. So it just gives me chills whenever I think about it. So then we go to 2020 and the conjunction are happening now in the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn is a sign of big business, of CEOs, of government, of kind of the public realm. And it's also interesting that this was also occurring when the South Node, which is an area of life that we are collectively kind of moving away from, was also involved into this little connection. So with this, how I was viewing it is I knew because of that it was going to permanently shift, you know, the way that we conducted our work. And if you look at the ramifications of what's occurring now, just in the terms of how people can work and whether they're receiving assistance and kind of the classism that we've seen play out of who's able to be okay and like who's not, and how it really, really is showing how capitalism in a lot of ways is failing people. While this is it's meant to be a short time of this quarantine, who knows how much more this will reverberate out and what lasting permanent change, because that's the emphasis when it's Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, this will wreak on our working worlds. As I touched on earlier, South Node is involved. So North Node is opposite the South Node. And so in some sense, we are letting go of this, needing to constantly consume and constantly produce and constantly be on this like capitalistic grind to move into a different space, which is North Node in Cancer. Cancer rules home, family, emotional state. So it's interesting, this last kind of 2 months of North Node being in Cancer, that we're all being advised to stay home, stay confined. It's too early to truly point out a bright side, but I do think that the purpose of this transit of North Node in Cancer was for us to begin to prioritize our inner world just as much as success in the outer world. So making sure, the reverberating quote that I was kind of utilizing all year was, the root of all ambition is to be happy at home. So let's say, you go out, you consume and you produce and you are successful, yet if you go home and you don't like your partner and you don't have time to spend time with your family, or you don't know what to do with yourself when you're not at work, that success is hollow. True success is when you can be at home, feeling safe, feeling nurtured, feeling inspired, to go produce the next day or to go create, but having that sense of homeness that stays within you. So I think part of this kind of transit is us diving into and reprioritizing what is home to us. Where do we feel safe to quarantine? Do we feel safe? How can we shift our reality to feel more safe? How can our government create a space where we are able to maybe spend more time with our family and not have to work all of the time, or have to deal with these crazy hours or things like that. Another thing I just want to highlight is that Uranus is also in Taurus. So which would definitely explain all the strange banking things that are happening. Taurus rules money and Uranus is ups and downs. So expect, the stock market to keep going up and down, the interest rates to keep, changing, these random bailouts from left to right. With Jupiter conjunct Saturn. So right now is Saturn and Pluto. It's exposing the underbelly of these systems that we're all placed into. And then at the end of the year, we have Jupiter conjunct Saturn, Jupiter is about faith and optimism and expansion. So I think when they get together, there could be permanent change that is enacted on our our world, our structures, on how we govern ourselves. I do believe and hope and pray that by the end of the year, we will, right now is the exposing time. It's ripping how unfair a lot of these structures are, how it's not working for a lot of people, how change is truly needed. And then my feeling as an astrologer, when Jupiter conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, and Aquarius is about humanitarian values, being of the people, this will be when legislation or effects are taken, or perhaps a leader who is able to truly serve and create some new structure. It's not going to be perfect overnight, that is able to genuinely serve humanity, rather than where it is now, Capricorn, which is big business, government, kind of filtering its way to the top. In addition, another thing I just want to highlight is how many CEOs stepped down in January 2020 while this Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. A lot of businesses are having permanent ramifications for what is happening, or what has happened in the past that was had to be exposed, that was not done in good character. And I think we're going to have a lot of change in capitalism and how we conduct ourselves as business. So friends, stay in your light. I love you all. Stay strong. I know this is a scary time. For me, astrology gives solace, but make sure to give yourself what gives you solace. Help others if you have the means to do so. Ask for help if you need it. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves. stay cosmic.